My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675. That's 610-222-5675. Welcome into Rover Sports. We're here on a fine evening in Philadelphia, and we're doing the pregame for the Arizona Cardinals Philadelphia Eagles game. I'm here with Spencer Grossinger. Everybody's logging on a live Facebook feed. As you can see, we are on JAKIB Media, and there's a lot to unpack about last night's game. There's a lot of mixed feelings about it. We were expecting a game where the Eagles would get better, and at a certain point, Spencer, they were up 23, and people were ringing into Christmas, and everybody was enjoying it. But yet, as always, the Eagles found a way to make it close. What did you see in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the Eagles played pretty well in the game. That they controlled the game. I thought, and just Jalen Hurts made a lot of plays yesterday. I thought he threw the ball a lot better to Devontae Smith, and I really think Bruce, that if not for Dallas Goedert falling down, the game wouldn't have been that close. But Tyrod Taylor, actually that move happened to help the Giants a lot. But still, a win's a win, and it's the NFL, and these are good teams. These are going to be close games. It's a division game, and I don't know. They did what they were supposed to do. I thought that 3rd and 19 was the key to the game, up by 2. The Giants dropped everybody, and A.J. Brown got a pass along the sideline. Great catch along the sideline. Good throw over the backer. I thought that was the key drive in the game, that touchdown drive, and they really ran the ball effectively, Bruce.
Yeah, there was a lot of good in the game. There was some return to injury from injury. Cam Jurgens. It's interesting in the game, and I always like to lead off with the injury report. And basically, there were no injuries in games, so that's very good. Portends some good things. So let's talk about the actual injuries that led up to the game. You'll note that Landon Dickerson actually had a thumb injury. We don't know if it was a ligament or bone injury. They actually put a pin in his thumb, Spencer, and he's going to get the pork chop brace, and he should be back next week. Zach Cunningham was out again with a knee strain. He'll be back. And Slay, as you know, had a scope. Usually you're out for a couple days. He was out. Slay will be back. And the big surprise was that Avonte Maddox practiced all week. Normally, when you have a full pectoralis tear, that's the chest muscle, and you literally tear it away from the sternum, that's a season-ending injury. However, Avonte Maddox, as he said himself, is healing much better than you're supposed to. He's actually, been tested, obviously, and he's equally strong on the affected side. He practiced all last week. Some people thought that he was going to play slot corner against the Giants, but Maddox will be back.
That's
huge.
That's
the
important.
Updated injury report on JAKIB Media. Charlie, welcome in. How are you doing tonight?
Happy holidays, everyone. Everything is going wonderful.
Yep, saw some great family shots of you, the wife, and the boy, and looks like you had a nice time. Did your son get some good gifts?
He was very excited. Was up a little bit earlier than we all anticipated. He was up about 5 o'clock on Christmas Day, but it was still a great day.
Now, Charlie,
6-year-old, there you see the wonder and the amazement and everything good about Christmas in a 6-year-old.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And a 6-year-old for sure. Now is he into sports? Does he like Alabama like you? I mean, what kind of gifts is he? What kind of gifts did he ask? Santa and the North Pole this year.
Well, he torments me because we're waiting on pins and needles to see if his mother got into the James Madison Athletic Hall of Fame. That decision's due any day. But he always tells me, boo Alabama, yay JMU, boo Steelers, yay Eagles. So he's aware enough to torture me about it. He got a He got one of those automatic football machines, like almost like a jugs machine, but it throws all different patterns. He got new hockey sticks. We have a little a deck near our house, so we play hockey. So yeah, he's slowly getting. We'll never force it on him, but he's slowly getting very excited about sports. Hopefully, he has his mother's genes, not his father's. But he watches. He's at the point now where he'll sit and watch football with us, and all. It's great.
That's fantastic. Well, it's a great time of year. Weather was nice here on Christmas here, and the game conditions were good, I guess. So good that there were no injuries. What did you take from that game, Charlie? Do you feel has your opinion of the Eagles changed at all with respect to anything in the postseason?
Well, I think Jordan Mailata had a very poor game. I think Philly is a team where if you're a fan, you're hoping they find themselves. I mean, look at this week, everyone, San Francisco. And I said, look, none of this matters until week 18. And none of it matters. It's who's healthy and who's playing well after week 18. I don't think Philly's there. I don't think, as of today, I put them kind of on par with Detroit, where, yeah, their records are great, but they're not, they don't look like a real threat. But a lot can change in 2 weeks, as we see just by last night in San Francisco.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, San Francisco looked like, the dominant team in the NFC. Last night was kind of a horrific game in terms of, a lot of tipped passes, and really the Baltimore defensive coordinator, Charlie, this Michael McDonald, who's 36 years old. He looks like a really up and coming coach. I mean, the Ravens utilize Kyle Hamilton, and I was just impressed. I mean, they were the underdog. They had the chip on the shoulder. I mean, what did you think of, I guess, Brock Purdy? Are you really worried about Brock Purdy, or is it just one game?
Not worried. I just think he is who he is. I don't think he's the MVP, and I don't think he's as bad as he played last night. I think, again, you're going to see a guy who can play really well some weeks and a guy who can. I mean, look, this Baltimore Ravens team is the same team who struggled with the Rams at home a couple weeks ago. That's the press loves to, and even the people on ESPN, they love to overreact to 1 week. Baltimore played great, absolutely played wonderful. What they do the week before, what are they going to do this week? Again, that's why I think it's so important just to be patient and kind of see what develops. No one can deny they played fantastic. I have been on the record saying Lamar Jackson will never win a Super Bowl. I stand by it. But again, no one can deny how good they played last night. And Purdy, again, you can say those passes were tipped, and several of them were. But at the end of the day, he's the quarterback. He's responsible. I'm sure, again, he's got more weapons than anyone else. But again, he's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not the MVP. Anyone who thinks he's that kind of caliber is just off.
What do you?
Everyone's entitled to opinion, though.
What do you think about this MVP? Because I mean, usually you have a Rodgers or Mahomes, and it oftentimes doesn't go to the best player. Sometimes even in the NBA, it goes to the guy that has the most winningest season, Charlie. And I'm going to ask for Bruce's opinion, but it's pretty much a revolving door. I mean, you saw the betting markets had Brock Purdy as a -200, pretty substantial favorite. Now he's up to plus 2,000, and Lamar Jackson, the quarterback of the Ravens, the best team in the league, had a good game last night. Charlie, where do you go for this MVP award, and is it even that important to you?
No, let's face it, the best players in the league are not even going to be mentioned, or Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt. They're the best players in football. Again, this is the most valuable quarterback, because McCaffrey's not even, McCaffrey might be moving up in the favorite list now, but I guess McCaffrey would be the leader in my mind.
And maybe Tyreek Hill is very valuable, but I don't necessarily, like you say, it's usually a most valuable quarterback. Tyreek Hill, without Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins are a different team.
It's usually a quarterback
group. And I agree with you there. I 100% agree with you there. I think Tyreek Hill should get a lot of votes as well. But I still think if you, again, and Hill, again, if he got the MVP, I'd be totally fine with that. But again, I think, again, too many times, I don't know why defensive players don't get the billing they should. Because look at, where would Cleveland be without Myles Garrett? You know what I mean? He is, to me, the most dominant player in the NFL right now. He doesn't even get it mentioned. But you're great call by Tyreek Hill.
Where would they be without Joe Flacco?
He may be the actual MVP, Tyreek Hill.
Bruce, and I'll get Bruce. You mentioned at the end of that. I I mean, Joe Flacco might be one of the great NFL stories I can remember. Like, I know it's hyperbolic, but maybe in the past 10 years, a 38-year-old quarterback who was out of the NFL. We talk about the NFL being a game that's like for mobile quarterbacks. You have to be able to maneuver and move. It's how shocking is it, Bruce?
I think it's really shocking because I remember Flacco when he was with the Jets. I remember him during the training camp with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I saw him, and he just looked like he was done, like he was complete toast. And when you see that happen, and then there's a 4-year interval, you don't see that. You don't see somebody come back and dominate so much. And obviously, Myles Garrett and the defense. A casual fan will think about the quarterback. They'll think about Flacco. Charlie's anything but a casual fan. He'll talk about Myles Garrett. He'll talk about that swarming defense. Mm-hmm. And the defense creates, opportunities for the offense there. But Charlie, even you had to be surprised by Flacco and his reemergence.
Yeah, not just that, but how he's literally leading the NFL in total passing yards since he got back. Not only is he playing well, he's literally dominating. I mean, watch him play against the Texans on Sunday. The throws he made. Again, he made Amari Cooper, gave him the record for the Browns. He had 265 yards receiving. I mean, he is he's not only playing like well as a guy who's older. He's playing as top 5 quarterback level right now.
Well, you know what it is about Flacco is that as you get older, you could still, if you have an arm, you could still you could still utilize it. And to me, like it's reminiscent a little bit. He plays like Nick Foles, where he's never gonna like break the pocket, but the offense with Stefanski happens to be good. The defense, like you said, is key because they give Flacco the ball back. And I love the way he's playing. He's playing like the old school quarterbacks that I grew up in because everybody kind of gets obsessed with turnover margin and not throwing interceptions and not testing throwing the ball down the field. Everybody kind of plays, Bruce, this cover 2 defensive shell, but Flacco's throwing for 380 every game. He's taking a ton of risk. Like he's throwing the ball one-on-one. If it's Cooper, he's throwing 40-yard 50-50 balls and letting Cooper go get it. So he's using his arm and he's not afraid. Like he threw a couple interceptions this week, but he also had 380 yards passing to me, which is important, and he had 3 touchdowns. So I love the way that Stefanski, I feel that with Flacco, every coach would be very scared of his limited, ability maybe and his limited running ability. Stefanski's not coaching scared, and the way that it's going right now, Kevin Stefanski, because of Deshaun Watson, Thompson Robinson. Remember, they were starting P.J. Walker. He's on his 4th quarterback. Stefanski's now the odds-on favorite as a wild card to be the coach of the year in the NFL.
Well, that's exciting. And again, why do we like sports? Because you have people that you write off. You have underdogs. Flacco's a great underdog. And you could look throughout the league. This league has not been predictable. Obviously, certain teams have been good, but that's certainly one of the great stories. I think also Tua, the fact that Tua had all those concussions last year, and in the offseason, Tua learned how to fall. He literally took martial arts courses, and I always root for good health, especially in the neuro system, which is what I preside over. The fact that Tua is having a healthy year, that basically Tyreek Hill and Jadel.
Waddle. What a drop.
Waddle had a little ankle strain, but between Waddle and Hill, that's an exciting team.
Big time drive by the Dolphins to win, and just a huge blunder. I mean, Pollard's going in for the touchdown. Then they call that fullback draw, and it's kind of not the fullback's fault. Dak Prescott fumbles the snap, doesn't recover it. What a drive by the Dolphins. And in that scenario, Charlie, you definitely watched that game. In that scenario, the Cowboys were better off letting the Finns go score. I would have been playing cover 0, all-out blitz. If they beat you, they beat you. I mean, I guess, like, with that defense down the stretch, I mean, you had to be thinking that as well. Like, that you can't just let them bleed this out and keep getting these first downs, but it was a brilliant drive by the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, typically in that case, you're right these days. Again, it's a different NFL with teams letting teams score and then going for it on 4th down, and it's just going when you're down 10 points going for 2 or 2 scores going for 2 points. Yeah, I would have thought at that point once they knew, and that kicker had a fantastic game, by the way. He drilled a couple long field goals before that. So Sanders, I think his name is. The chances of him missing that stuff were, not very likely. So, Dallas may have had a better chance of just letting them, score. But Miami may have wised up and just, took a dive as well. So, but yeah, it would have definitely given Dallas the ball back and put it in Dak's hands for the last minute and a half or something. It may have made sense.
So, Bruce, you look at the kick. I mean, there's some areas of the NFL that, the tackling is not the way it used to be, but kickers have evolved to the point where kickers are really just fantastic. I mean, they literally picked up a soccer player, the Cowboys, who wasn't even playing football, Brandon Aubrey. He was nailing 60-yard field goals. I mean, the field goal kicking has evolved. It's better than it's ever been. That's the one part of football you could say is better. But you know what? You know who's another guy that's in that conversation for comeback player of the year? And it is an awesome story that DeMar Hamlin is playing again. He does have a couple of tackles, but who's also in that category is Baker Mayfield. And everybody was clowning on the NFC South. You have the Falcons, the Saints, and the Bucs. Honestly, the Bucs, they're hosting the Cowboys probably, and that's why it's important for the Eagles to win that division. Playing Baker Mayfield, he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in football. That's a dangerous team right now, the Bucs.
I would say that you followed certain quarterbacks since their inception. You've always liked Drew Lock, and Drew Lock had a great week last week against the Eagles. And Baker Mayfield, you've always liked him. You always called Baker Jakes Mayfield. He always had some swag.
Yeah.
But he's another guy who's just having a very solid season. And a lot of people wrote him off, and he was bouncing around.
Yeah.
When he was a free agent at Cleveland, you couldn't sell him at a yard sale. But yet, Baker Mayfield is back with the Tampa Bay Bucs.
How about Carolina? Matt Rule still talks to him, but he was a free agent when he went to the Rams, and he didn't look very good he was a free agent in the portal. There's portal quarterbacks, and there's 2 number 1 picks that are actually having great years. So maybe there's talent in the number 1. Who's the other number 1 pick having a big season? It's an NFC playoff team. It's Jared Goff, was actually the number 1 pick out of Cal. He's having a great year too. But Baker Mayfield with Mike Evans, they look great. I mean, Charlie, don't you watch Baker? Don't you think Baker's playing with confidence now? Don't you think that offense is hitting its stride, Tampa Bay?
I think he played fantastic the last month for sure. And something else I took out of that game Sunday is there a quarterback regressing more than Trevor Lawrence? I mean, this guy came out with Hall of Fame. I thought he had Hall of Fame potential. I'll be the first one to say it. And, man, it's rough. It's rough watching this guy anymore. And mistake after mistake after mistake. I mean, again, they came out firing out of the gate. I think they won 4 or 5 in a row midseason. And, man.
Coach Josh Stacey is on the line on Rover Sports, JAKIB Media. We are on YouTube. You can stream us all week. And we are doing the run-up to the Arizona Cardinals-Eagles game, the second to last game of the year. And, Josh, welcome to the show. It seems like things have been breaking well. Dallas loses. The 49ers lose. The Eagles win. So, in the last week, things have been breaking the Eagles' way. You saw the Giants game. What are your takeaways, Josh?
Well, I mean, Doc, one of the biggest concerns is the fourth quarter. It really is. They're lucky. They're lucky Tyrod Taylor underthrew 2 passes. Otherwise, we might be talking about a different scenario. I mean, he completes the ball to Saquon, and who was the other receiver, Spencer?
Waller, is it?
Yeah, it was Waller on a 4th and 2. I thought the Giants could get him. Oh, it was Slayton. I'm sorry. Thanks, Charlie. Yeah. To me, the Eagles, they're breaking the right way, but it's ugly.
I mean, Josh, at least the offense kind of got going. They're starting. I think the Eagles need to keep running the ball, and it seemed like the decision to go to Tyrod gave spark into that. Tommy Cutlett's story is, pretty much fading. But do you think the Eagles' offense looked better, Josh?
I think so. I think it does. Obviously, when A.J. Brown's catching balls, it helps out a lot. And also getting involved, I think Goddard's a key piece. They need to get Goddard more and more involved.
Yeah, I would say so. Looking at the game, Gainwell and Swift, I think, alternated doing well. They took turns running the ball well, And having those two guys, is very important. And the fact that Hurts really did take a big hit yesterday and didn't get hurt, and there were no injuries yesterday, Josh. So I was like the Maytag repairman. There were actually no injuries to report. Led Dickerson, Josh, will be back. He had his thumb repaired, and so that's something where they put a pin in temporarily. And as an offensive lineman, he'll basically have a pad over his thumb. So Led will be back. Basically, Zach Cunningham is a big part of their defense from a linebacker standpoint. Knee strain will be back. And I hear that Avonte Maddox will be back. I don't know if they want to, I don't say it's rushing it back. If they need him for the Cardinals game, they probably don't need him, nor do they really need him for the last game against the Giants, which I see as a meaningless game potentially in MetLife Stadium. But the fact that the Eagles are getting healthy, the fact that Jalen Hurts' knee is better, and that Slay had a minimal scope, and he's been fighting a knee for a while, and what they do is, Spence, they put an arthroscope in and they clean out the knee, and then the knee you could run faster, and so Slay will be back. Bradbury had a reasonable, better game, much better game this week. And if we look at guys like Blankenship, tackled pretty well. And so if I look at the team, there were individual players who did well in that game, and I think that they're trending in a good direction leading up to the Cardinals game.
Now, Ricks had the game-winning interception. I mean, who would be? I guess Byard. So Ricks would be your backup for the playoffs if Maddox is healthy. You would put Ricks in as a backup player. Eli Ricks.
Wasn't it Kelly Ringo that had it? Kelly Ringo had it?
Kelly Ringo might have had it. Another Georgia player.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Ricks.
these guys that are, I think, rather equivalent, young guys. They're getting a little bit of experience during the regular season, which I think is good. And Matt Patricia, obviously it's hard to become, a defensive coordinator at the end of the season, but if anybody could do it, it would be Patricia. And I've always been a fan of his, really. So I'm glad to see that he's taking over. Desai, I think, is a very smart guy, but I think he's very cerebral. And I don't think he was a great fit for this defense, according to some of the murmurings from the locker room.
His stock has just plummeted. He was with Pete Carroll in Seattle. He was very highly acclaimed. Of course, he speaks very well. But this defense wasn't humming on all cylinders. And now, I mean, he's probably out of Philly. He's probably going to look for a DC job, Sean Desai. But I would say that right now, Patricia has he's the front runner for the job full time. Wouldn't you say that, defensive coordinator?
I would think so.
Even
he's got
after
a great
this
pedigree.
year.
Another thing good about Matt Patricia is he's not the kind of guy you're going to hire as a head coach. He's already had that experience. Didn't go well. So it's nice if you're going to put stock in it, like a coordinator, like the offense, like Brian Johnson. I think Brian Johnson is so tied into Jalen Hurts that I don't see him as being a head coaching material. I don't think he fancies himself as that. And I think that Sirianni and Johnson really are a team. And basically Johnson just implements Sirianni's plan. And people want to blame Johnson, but it's really Sirianni. So I like when there's stability. So I think if you have Patricia and Johnson, that gives you stability going forward. And so many teams in the league don't have that stability.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You look at the NFL right now, and Detroit's offensive coordinator is terrific. And I wonder if Dan Campbell has that plan, because Ben Johnson's probably going to be a head coach. And if you're an owner, I mean, if I owned an NFL team, I would pay an amazing coordinator, like a terrific coordinator, up to head coaching money. Because when you lose those people, it is devastating. But it's 5 o'clock. It's 7:55 right now. I want to talk about some broad scale NFL. But since we have Charlie and Josh on, Josh, I'll ask you, how excited are you for the college football playoff this week, New Year's Day?
Spencer, I think it's the best 4 teams that we've had in a very long time. I really do. The bowl committee finally did it right in the last year before they expanded 12. I can't wait to see what Alabama and Michigan are going to do. Will Michigan lay another egg? And will Washington be the team? Will they get back to the national championships for the first time since '92.
Yeah, I think that I think Bruce. I think all the pressure's actually on Michigan and Harbaugh because Bama's won it.
Yep.
Michigan's never won a playoff game under Harbaugh. They even lost to TCU last year. Alabama has done it many times. Bruce, I really think. Do you really think Michigan has the players to compete with Alabama, like in this game?
I think they have the players, but I just don't see Michigan beating Alabama. I mean, Alabama has got a great pedigree, has a coach that's won so many times. I'm sure I'm not going to get a big quarrel from Charlie, but I just don't. That Alabama team also, they were selected to play over Florida State, and I believe that they took that very seriously. And I'm just a believer in the system of Alabama. I'm a believer in Saban, and yeah, Michigan's had a great year. They're very good in the Big Ten, but I think the SEC is a different animal. And in that game, we're going to be picking it. But Charlie, I don't see Michigan beating Alabama. Your thoughts?
The scary thing is this to me, and I've been sitting on it I never would have a Michigan future from the summer. They would have seen my bet to win it all. But the Alabama goes in and beats the team that nobody can beat, the team that hasn't lost in 3 years. Alabama's an underdog against Michigan. Why? Why after they beat Georgia, the team that nobody could beat, they should be favored over everyone, but they go into this game as an underdog. Made only 1.5 points, but still, to me, I will be rooting for Alabama. I probably will, against my better judgment, bet Alabama, but that is something that is screaming at me to take serious.
Right. So you take Michigan very seriously this year, and again, you picked them, and they won you a lot of money this year, and but I think it's going to be a wonderful game.
Well,
the other game that I'm excited about, it's kind of how I'm torn. I have a niece I'm very close with, Alexa, who is a freshman at the University of Texas. Spencer and I have actually been to Austin, and we saw them play, and boy, was it hot there. It's 95 degrees in October?
Yeah,
it was the hottest day I experienced, and they're so excited. So you don't want to overtly root against your family. But on the other hand, I do like Washington a lot. I think Pennick showed me a lot by beating Oregon, your favorite team, by virtue of the shirt you're wearing, Spence, that I just think Washington might – I think they're going to win that game. And I think that Washington is a team that is being overlooked. Texas is a blue blood money, but I have a good feeling. If my Grossinger Rover Sports lock of the week, I'm taking those Huskies in that game. How about yourself? I know that you dislike the Huskies because they beat your Oregon Ducks.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, do you have enough respect for them to pick them against Texas?
Yeah, I think it's a great spot for Washington as well because I think that Penix is the best quarterback that's left, and I think that Washington's receivers are exceptional. I think that Odunze, I think McMillan, they're starting to run the ball with Dylan Johnson. I just think that they could beat you in a multitude of ways, and they're a team that's just getting hot at the right time, and they're one of those teams, they've survived a little bit, but the way they played against Oregon, they're going to come out feeling loose, and Texas is going to have to rout them, because if it's close, I'm just telling you, I think Washington's offense is more explosive, and Ewers, I know he's been playing well, but I don't believe in him as much as Washington.
Top of the hour. Station break, we are Rover Sports.
WWDB 860 AM Philadelphia and WPEN HD2 Burlington, Philadelphia.
Yeah, for Jackson. Go ahead.
We are back. We're Rover Sports. Many of you are new to us on YouTube, but you followed Bruce Grossinger Facebook probably for a while, and Spencer G. at Slaughterhouse Sports on YouTube. And we want to thank, of course, Matthew Vito, Colin Newby, and most importantly, the whole Krause team for getting us on an amazing platform, which is JAKIB Media. 33 million followers, really, and usually an active 33,000 watching at all times. So we have not had this exposure, and I think the fact that we do cover a lot of national events here, particularly with the constituency of our team, I think is something that hopefully is amenable to our audience. Again, we have Coach Josh Dacey, who is a D1 coach who's coached multiple places, and, of course, Charlie Bowles, who is a sports expert extraordinaire. Betting, he doesn't have his own betting website, but the good news is you don't have to pay for it because you could listen to his picks. And Charlie, makes a very good living, not only on commercial real estate and hedge fund deals and all that, but we always love having Charlie's input. And he's always a guy who's very single-minded and does his own analytics. So I think it's great. So that's just kind of reintroducing the team of course, Rover Sports. And I like where we're going with this Final Four, and let's continue the dialogue.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, I think that it would be perfect, Josh, to have it at 6 because I don't want to see the regular season devalued. And I mean, you talk to Adam Gorney, who's a great buddy of yours. Josh is of course tight with all of college football and college basketball, but it seems now, Josh, with the transfer portal realignment. Malik Murphy had to leave Texas's team. Josh, it seems like December's crazy in college football.
A lot of coaches do not like December, and very similar to what you're going to see. I can see happening in college basketball where they used to have an open period in April. And a lot of coaches didn't go out that first open period because they had a lot of transfers on campus. I guarantee you're going to see changes happening in college football.
So, Charlie, I had a really fun breakfast. You probably saw my post. I met Warren Sapp at a deli in Hallandale, Florida. It literally had a plate, both of us like to eat. He perhaps more than me. But we had a plate to the ceiling of lax and white fish and bagels and coleslaw and pickles. And just to be able to hang out with him, he's truly a funny person. Warren Sapp is a very engaging person, very funny person, great storyteller. The fact that he is going to be, he is working with Coach Prime, and that apparently they're doing very well in the transfer portal. I think that obviously the big problem with Colorado was they had no offensive line. They couldn't protect Shedeur Sanders at all, and their defense just wilted. They just wore out. But the fact that Warren Sapp, a bona fide Hall of Famer, who really sincerely never thought he wanted to coach, but the light went on. He said when he went out to Colorado and the young players were just asking him questions, he said it just felt different that when the professionals asked him questions, which he felt to be annoying, he actually enjoyed working with the young players because they looked at him and they really cared what he had to say. So I'm excited for Warren because he never thought he'd have that opportunity. Go ahead, Spence.
Well, Charlie, you know what? We look at college football right now, and actually, don't you think that a Big 12 coaching job is even more desirable than maybe playing in the SEC? Because if you're Florida or LSU, that schedule's just absurd, isn't it, with Oklahoma and Texas joining the league?
Yeah, but also you're not going to get the respect. I mean, you may, like I said, I guess, have the easier path, but, will you get the recruits? Will you get them? Is it a higher pay? Is it, the Big 12, again, is going to be kind of forgotten. And I think that conference will once, eat itself from within and they'll eventually, like the ACC, they're all going to move on eventually. We're only going to have two conferences, the Big 10 and the SEC eventually. Again, every coach aspires to be in the SEC. I'm sure Coach Dace will tell you, I'm sure every coach would probably Big 10, ACC, and college basketball, I would guess. Well, the SEC's been coming on to in basketball, but I think if you were top of the food chain and you had a choice, I think those guys are so well driven, they probably want to be where the best competition is, would be my guess.
Coach?
Well, Charlie, it's right. Quite obvious. You see Florida State, they're suing the ACC because they don't feel like they did enough to get them in the conference championship or the playoff.
I think Florida State should lick their wounds and move on. I mean, it's embarrassing at this point. They've had everyone, from the governor to the, step up and try to get them in.
I think I don't know a lot about litigation, but I do play a lawyer on TV. The chance of winning that against a committee, which is really a private organization, to actually win and prevail in that lawsuit, I think that's sour grapes, and I think the chance of winning is zero.
Yeah, but
You can't sue someone for their opinion.
Exactly.
I don't know. Listen, there used to be co-championships.
There's no facts. It's not a factual thing.
Who really cares either way? I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's humorous to watch that all play out.
I don't care.
think it's great
it's not
drama.
our money, right? You like to sue. It's not our money.
It's
I
great
guess.
drama. You know who's really suffering is the Orange Bowl that has Florida State, and there was rumors actually that Florida State wouldn't even play in the Orange Bowl. What do you think of that? That they'd be so upset that they take their ball, go home, not play.
That would be bad.
Never be invited.
They wouldn't be
Florida
invited to any bowl again. Like you said, Josh, you do that, you basically blackball yourself, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and there's 5.
Florida State will get waxed. I mean, absolutely pummeled in that game.
Yeah, there's 5 power conferences for 4 spots. I mean, I get that Florida State went on and won all of their games. It's the first year that we've had like this difficult decision. Usually the 4th team that's in the playoff is, I don't know. Usually it sorts itself out, but no, they didn't look that impressed. Alabama's just a terrific team. That's just the problem of it, is that Alabama and Texas are just that good. It wasn't that Florida State wasn't even that good.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it's always the fun part of
it
it.
was
You know, they had the courage, and I thought they had the courage to select a team, because if you have Florida State without Jordan, without their main quarterback, Alabama would win that game 10 out of 10 times. So they picked the 4 best teams. And for that, I think the committee did well in their last year of this format.
But even if Jordan Travis was in there, Bruce, and they were still kind of struggling, which was possible, they didn't have a perfect season. Or they did it. If they did have record-wise.
Season.
No, but they even looked shaky in some of their wins. Alabama beat a team that hasn't lost in 3 years in Georgia. That win was insane. That could have been the national title. Just how the game, the quality that was played. And Georgia played. Carson Beck played well. Brock Bowers was back. For Alabama and Milroe, just to see a quarterback grow like Milroe has over this year, it's incredible. I mean, Charlie and Bruce, you remember we were watching them play South Florida this year. Alabama went to South Florida. They won that game 10-7 over the South Florida Bulls.
They played 3 different quarterbacks in that game.
They were a mess.
They looked horrible.
A mess. I mean, Charlie, this has to be Saban's one of his best coaching jobs. They beat Georgia. Georgia.
If Florida State was everything they're talking about, they would show up and they would play Georgia tough. But they are going to get their ass kicked all over the field. And look what Alabama did last year. They were down and out. You know what they did? They stepped in and they pummeled Kansas State in the bowl game. They did their job and they showed everyone, you know what? You left us out, and that's on you. Florida State will not show up. I am telling you, I have never been so sure of something ever. They are going to get absolutely demolished.
Well,
that's how much they care.
There's going to be some smart money on that one.
By the
Charlie.
way, they're all going to the draft in the second string quarterback.
Yep.
Rotomakers in the portal, by the way, transfer portal.
Yep. That's how much they care.
So Josh, I mean, you know what? We're going to talk now, Josh, about the NFL. Do you have the fearless picks in front of you at all?
I do, buddy. I do. Whenever
You're
you're
the
ready.
man. Always prepared like a Boy Scout. He's always ready to rub those sticks and make some fire.
It's
ready. Time for the last segment, the fearless picks on Rover Sports.
Boys, I got to be honest with you. I think this is the best set of games that we've had in a long time.
Excellent.
So let's open up with Saturday night, 8:15. Detroit, +6, traveling to the Dallas Cowboys, 10-5, who need a win. Where are we going?
I guess I'll lead off. So, Detroit is getting 5.5.
No, they're getting 6.
They're getting 6 now. Wow, the line moved even in a few seconds. Detroit's getting 6 in Dallas. Okay,
Yeah.
I believe that. Again, I believe in the pendulum theory. So far, it's worked for me. I've done well on these picks. The pendulum theory is that Detroit is riding really high. Dallas, of course, is coming off a whooping, and I think that's not. I think Dallas will just comfortably win by a touchdown. So I'm going to be taking Dallas to this particular contest.
I think that's a great pick. I mean, you talk about Week 16. I remember a time not so long ago in which NFL teams only played 16 games. So Detroit, people might call me weak, but I would even think about resting up. But the thing is that they want to theoretically go for the 2 seed in the playoffs. I love Dallas in this spot. At home, they're amazing. I mean, they average 40 points at home. They're a completely different team in Jerry World. This is a get-right game. I agree with you 1,000%. I love the Cowboys here.
Colin?
I feel like Vegas has almost equated the Lions and the Eagles with these spreads. 2 teams with good records, but they're not really getting respect. They were right about the Eagles in those that last little losing streak. I'll say they're right about the Lions. I'll go Cowboys to cover here.
Coach, who do you take in this game?
Dallas responds. They always do.
Are you being sarcastic? Okay, they respond. Okay. We always leave it up to the anchor man, who we can never predict. Charlie.
Well, look at it this way. Minnesota, quarterback throws 4 picks, 2 best, tight end out, Jordan Addison out. They still have a chance to win the game at the end. Detroit is such a fraud. Dallas will wax them on Saturday night.
Oh, we have a little bit of a consensus rolling. Next game.
The battle for the 1 seed in the AFC, the 11-4 Miami Dolphins, travel to Baltimore. Baltimore just beat the best team in the NFC in the San Francisco 49ers last night. So, yeah, Miami's getting 3.5 at Baltimore. Where are we going, Doc?
Okay. The Dolphins are my favorite team in the AFC. They're my second favorite team overall. But I think that this doesn't, set up well for the Dolphins in many ways. The weather, I'm a big weather guy. It's not going to be a lot of fun in Baltimore. Baltimore is continuing, and they're not going to have a letdown this week at all, especially this time. And I think that the Dolphins, they're just going to put Tua, it's got a, medium-sized arm. I think that this is a regression game for the Dolphins, and I think that the Ravens will roll in this game, and I don't see a scenario where the Dolphins are going to beat the Ravens at home. I don't. So I'm going to have to take the Ravens in this game.
Josh, what's the spread in this game?
Miami's getting 3.5, buddy.
Miami's getting 3.5, and you know what the most surprising thing is that I wish this game were on at 4:30 or 8:30. They have no way to flex it out at 1 o'clock. I mean, this is one of the best games of the whole year.
It's one of the best games of the year.
How are you going to bury it at 1 o'clock?
Well, guess what? Are you going to be watching it? It could be burying it for you.
I'm going to find a way to watch it.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, it should be prioritized. This is great.
But it isn't.
I'm going to surprise you with this pick because, like you said, you made a great point about the Ravens. They're hot. They got really good run game. They happen to be rolling a little bit, playing great. I just think that Miami. I got this weird feeling that McDaniel's going to have these guys just really ready to go. And Tua last year beat the Ravens in an absolute classic. I just think it's going to be one of those classics. And, gosh, I mean, I'm going against my judgment here a little bit because the Ravens on paper would seem like a great pick. But I think the Dolphins have a talented team, and they're going to come and shock Baltimore. So I'm going to take the Dolphins.
Colin?
I think Baltimore's for real. I'm going to take the Ravens with the points here.
Coach Dacey.
I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think they're really turning it on lately. Lamar Jackson has now re-entered his way back into the MVP conversation. I go with Baltimore.
Charlie.
2 teams coming off very, very emotional wins. But let's not go too far on Baltimore. A couple of weeks ago, they struggled with that Ram team at home. I'll take the hook. It might come into play, Miami.
Very interesting. You're right. There are great games this week, Josh. Every one of them has been fun. Next.
Okay, so now we got the battle of the NFC South. New Orleans 7-8 +3 at Tampa Bay 8-7. New Orleans has a 12% chance to make the playoffs. Tampa Bay a 91.8% chance to make the playoffs.
And the spread on the game?
The New Orleans +3 at Tampa Bay.
This one looks a little bit too easy for me. Again, I'm never a New Orleans fan. I must say, I usually, This year, I bet against them almost every time, and I think I won about 80% of the time. We're talking about Baker Mayfield, confidence, growing confidence, really operating and running it, playing at home. It allowed Tampa Bay with the loud cannon, especially, will let you know, loudest cannon in sports.
Well, I haven't gone, luckily.
He hasn't gone, but he knows how loud it is.
I might not make it back.
I don't know if he could make it back. He doesn't like he doesn't like to be cannon fodder. But this is a game. I don't think I've given a lock of the week, but this is my lock of the week. I'm taking Tampa Bay. I don't see the Saints going to Tampa Bay and winning this game at Raymond James Stadium. I just have a feel for Tampa Bay. Their defense looked great last week. I watched the game, actually. I don't watch every game, especially Tampa Bay, but their defense is swarming, and they're all lathered up. I just feel good about Tampa Bay. Go ahead.
I'm 1,000% with you. I think that this could be the best value that you get all year. And I guess that's the kiss of death, the Vegas kiss of death. The Saints they've looked absolutely terrible. Like against the Rams, that was a 30-7 game, and then garbage time. Derek Carr, the king of garbage time. The Saints are going nowhere. They're total purgatory, and I love this Bucs team. Love it. I think the Bucs can win this by 20. I think the spread should be 6.5. The Bucs are fantastic, and I think they're going to come in, they're going to roll, and they're going to clinch the division, and then they can maybe like rest up at Carolina next week or something. But again, I loved how this Bucs team is playing.
Colin?
I've said for most of the season that I had a good feeling about Tampa winning that division, so I'll stick with them. Bucs win and Bucs cover.
Josh?
I think there's going to be another wrinkle to be played in this division. I'm going with New Orleans.
The naysayer. Charlie.
I am with Coach Dage for all the reasons that Spencer said, and that line sitting at 3. Why?
You're right. They know something we don't know, right? So, Charlie, very interesting.
Because the public will be all over.
The public, the regular schlubs like me and Spency are all over that.
All over.
All
kind of
over
like
that.
Carolina this past Sunday.
It might be the defense.
Getting killed the whole game. All of a sudden, here they come right through the back door.
It might be the defense of the Saints. It's the only way they have a chance if that D-line. But, I don't know. We got to go with our guts sometimes.
Well,
Bruce.
we've already made our pick.
Yeah, no, I love the pick. I'm not getting second thoughts.
Are there 2 more games, Josh?
We got 3 more, Doc.
3 more?
So
Okay, great. We're rolling good. We've got another 7 minutes, so we're going well.
This is best time of the week. Best time of the week.
We're pacing these picks in a very nice way. Go ahead.
So you got Cincinnati struggling right now. No Jamar Chase last week. They're 8-7. They got a 22% chance to make the playoffs. Traveling to Kansas City, another team that can't catch a football. It was 9-6. Cincinnati +7 at
Browning.
Kansas City.
Who's the quarterback? Browning. Yeah. So this is, I'd say this is the toughest. You talk about so what is the spread? They're going to Kansas City, right? And how many points are they getting?
7.
7, a whole touchdown. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't bet this game, even if I was a bettor.
Neither would I.
Because I don't know what's going on with Kansas City. Taylor Swift obviously is having an incredible effect negatively on the whole team. Something's bad. They're listening to too much pop music. I don't know if they're sleeping or I don't think they're sleeping at all. They're up. They're staying up. They're in a rave session. I'm going to have to pick a team here. I like Browning. I think Kansas City will win. But I think that they've just been very inconsistent. They'll win the game, but I think 7 points is enough for the Bengals. I'm taking Cincinnati in this game.
Very tough pick. I already got burned on Kansas City a couple of times, but Browning, the Steelers kind of like took Browning, and I think you can expose these backups sometimes, almost like DeVito, and Browning's time might be running out, turning the ball over. So Kansas City does just enough to cover in this game. It's the last gasp of Kansas City this week. Kansas City covers. Go ahead.
Colin?
I didn't think Kansas City looked impressive, and I think Cincinnati's a tough enough team. I like them to cover. Chiefs outright, but Bengals cover.
Josh?
So Colin's going to Cincinnati, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going Kansas City. They got to respond somehow. They got to wake up. The time is now.
Makes sense. Charlie?
You keep waiting for Kansas City to say, this is the week, this is the week, this is the week. They are who they are. They are what they look like, and they are what they've been playing like. I said it as soon as Kelsey signed up, dating this chick. I said it is all downhill from here, and it has been, and Cincinnati wins this game outright.
Whew. You called it, man. The Taylor Swift phenomenon looms large in the galaxy.
I would be all. Look, you're dating the chick who's really good looking and one of the richest people in the world. Yeah, I'd be screwed up.
Would
too.
you'd be a little distracted too, Charlie?
Absolutely. I probably would have retired already.
I just think that Kelsey's I just think he's getting old. Like, he's almost 36 years old. So I don't know. Like, Tom Brady did it, which is, I think it's possible. Is it possible to date a supermodel chick and still be good, or no, not really?
Yes, I think
she's not even a supermodel chick. She's a performer.
There have been
these times person of the year.
There have been many football players who've either dated or married very beautiful, famous people, and have still played. So, but we'll see what happens. What's the next game?
All right, so now we're going up to the NFC North. Green Bay, Jordan Love, 7-8. Travels to Minnesota. Josh Dobbs, T.J. Hawkinson is out for Minnesota. He's been one of the top receivers as a tight end this year. He's done. Tore ACL, tore MCL. Minnesota is just scraping by. Sunday night game.
And what is
both teams are 7-8.
I'm sorry. What's the spread?
Green Bay getting 1.5.
Okay, I like Green Bay in this game. We got only a few minutes left, so I like Green Bay. Hawkinson's a big loss toward ACL, MCL. This is the end, as we say. So I feel good about the Packers. Go ahead, Spence.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Nick Mullins or not, but I'm going to say this right here on the show. What's the date? December 27th, 2023. I think Jordan Love's going to be a sensational quarterback in this league. So I'm all in. I think he's showing great signs of improvement. I love the play calling up there. So I'm going to take the Packers. They just got to fire that defensive coordinator, get their defense right. The Packers will win this game for sure. This looks good.
Colin?
Looks like kind of a toss-up to me, so I'll just go with the home team. I'll go Vikings -2.
All right. Josh?
Green Bay all the way.
Charlie?
Go Vikings at home, just like Colin. I think it's kind of like what happens. I think Jordan Love has kind of regressed a bit, may throw a few picks on the road. I'll take Minnesota.
All right, so we got now the game of the week. The Eagles hosting Jonathan Gannon. What's the famous noise that Gannon makes?
I mean, it's like I can't even do it.
I think for me personally,
I love Gannon because he's such a controversial figure that everybody hates.
And I certainly join in that. Jonathan Gannon quit on the team in Super Bowl week. He spent more time thinking about going away to the Cardinals, melded in, horrible effort, and I wish him nothing.
You want to take that? You want to take that job, Bruce? You want to take the promotion?
I would have focused on it after the Super Bowl. Thank you.
You said he wasn't focused on it.
I think he was not. What is the spread of the game?
11. The Cardinals are getting 11.
They are an absolutely horrific team. The Eagles get well. The last home game of the season, ticker tape parade, not really, but there's a lot of animosity between the fans, including myself and Jonathan Gannon, and this will be a full house on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve? New Year's Eve. Know in Philadelphia, the party starts early. So that's a lot of points, but I'm taking the Hometown Birds.
I always always go to the Eagles, so it's just,
no thought involved.
No, because I don't want to jinx the pick, so I'm biased about it.
Colin?
I didn't know why the Giants spread was so high, and I don't know why this one is so high. The Eagles don't blow anybody out. I like them to win, but Arizona to cover.
Josh?
Could not agree more with Colin. I think they'll start off hot, but somehow I think the Cardinals will make it a game. I'll take Arizona.
Charlie?
Same as Colin. I think this game is big for Jonathan Gannon. Philly will win, but St. Louis will backdoor this somehow.
Well, it was great. This hour flew by. We want to thank all of the viewers and listeners to Rover Sports, all the producers, and it went by great. So wish you all a Happy New Year's, and we'll be back next Tuesday. We might be. And we are, of course, Rover Sports. My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675. That's 610-222-5675.